All right, all you happy people. Hope everybody is feeling good today. Very excited about our call. So we're going to wait another 2 minutes since, there is the time frame going on here that we will have Mr. Special Webb. That's right. Helmet and all will be helping us today and going over our product presentations for the National General product line. I am excited that we were going to be releasing some additional new products under the critical illness and cancer that will be specifically related for our seniors in the very near future. We're going through some basis now, and it's going to be really exciting. So here's the deal. Got to get good at selling these products. Got to get really good at selling these products, and you need to be mastering the presentation, the product guide, the product information, so that way you can kill it. These products, you're on a paid direct basis. If you request advances on this, we can approve those advances. Weekly pay, everything that you submit by Thursday, you're getting paid the following Thursday. So it's really exciting for us to be able, in SEPs, to be able to put money in your pocket, rest of year. And today, I think that, you're going to get out of this conversation exactly what you want. And I hope that you find these presentations and the direction of the presentation that Scott's going to go over to be helpful. And it should just really enhance your sales process. Just to give you a little highlight of what Scott's going to do today, Scott's going to go over some basics. He's going to go over the presentation, introduction, how to introduce these products on different lead types, how to identify, where you're going to introduce these products and really where the meat and potatoes and the value is going to come in. He's going to spend some time on the value of the products, and those are going to be placed in scenarios. I want to ask everybody, please, let's hold off on product questions. The product questions are really going to be for another time. Review the product guide, review the documentation and the YouTube channel where we had Mr. Dan, wonderful Dan Giancola, did his training on the product and the specifics. So really want to make sure that that we're doing good. But Scott is going to concentrate on the presentation. So right now, I am going to hand over the mic and controls to Special Webb.
All right.
And there we go. Welcome, Special Webb. How are you today, sir?
I'm fabulous. How about yourself?
Good. Thank you for joining. Long-time listener, first-time caller, and I'm going to hand the baton over to you. I'm going to mute my phone, and I'll be watching questions and stuff that come in here. And as always, if I'm going to interrupt, I'll let you know. So it's all yours. The stage is go for it.
Okay. So thanks for joining this meeting, guys. Bear with me a little bit. It's my first time doing a webinar meeting, but we're going to make this work. So what Mark asked me to talk about today was how to position the National General products and just supplemental products in general, but National General products specifically, and how to sell more of these with each sale, how to increase your income, how to identify gaps, how to overcome objections, and how to introduce them to both new customers and your existing customers. Because let's face it, for the rest of the year, it's going to be a little bit harder to present these during SEP than it would have been if you had done this during AEP. But whenever you're talking to a client, they're always going to fall into one of three basic scenarios. This is what I've found, is that they're either going to be very low income and going to be in a B or C variant. You're talking somewhere between 100 and 200% of the federal poverty line. They're going to be middle income, 200 to 400% of the federal poverty line, where they're getting some sort of subsidy, but they're not, they're still not able to afford a lot. And then scenario three is they got all the money they need. They have money, but they're not getting a subsidy. So with each of these different scenarios, different products make a certain amount of sense. So I'm going to start with scenario one. Scenario one is your basic guy. You run into this guy all the time. He's single male, non-smoker, age 30. He's not working full time. If he has an SEP, great, you can get him enrolled, and you're going to want to be looking at your silver products. You can also look at bronze based on affordability and his doctor needs, but basically, you're not going to be looking at gold or platinum, and you're going to be wanting to get this guy into the least expensive option. So if we're starting with this guy, your 30 no dependent year old guy, you got to run the math. And for all these guys, you have to run the math. So he's making $9.50 an hour. Okay, he's working 30 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. He's a solid C variant. If he lives in St. Pete, he rarely goes to the doctor, then you have all the options on the table as far as bronze or silver. It really doesn't matter which way you go. Really just going to come down to his preference and what he can afford. But when you pull a quote for this guy, and it doesn't matter which quoting tool you use, this just happens to be the one that I'm particularly comfortable with, you're going to display his options on the screen to him, because I'm assuming you're all using the join me to show him what his options are. So let's look at this for this guy. So he's got the option for a bronze plan. A lot of us have sold a lot of bronze plans. And why? We know they won't cancel. The guy's got a 0 monthly premium. He's not going to cancel that plan. He's going to get certain good things. He's going to get the free visits. He's going to get the annual physical. He's going to get low cost for routine medical. So if he doesn't have any medical conditions, this is probably one of our go-tos this year. But along with this, you cannot just be an order taker. You have to explain the gaps that this guy's going to run into if he takes a bronze plan, or even if he takes a silver plan. Let's take a silver plan for a second. Okay, this is an even better plan. It's still very affordable. You can get either one of these silver plans. It's a obviously better coverage, 0 deductible, $1 doctor visits, $10 specialist visits. We know these plans like the back of our hands. We repeated these summary benefits over and over and over again. And when it comes to presenting these and adding in the value of, hey, you need an accident plan, or hey, you need critical illness, you can't do it after you've done the health insurance marketplace application and you've taken his payment and you've gotten him through the whole thing. You can't add it on at the end like, hey, do you want fries with that? It doesn't work that way. You have to do this at the beginning, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's take, in this scenario, that he's going to go with the silver plan. Okay, because he wants the 0 deductible, he wants the low max out of pocket, he's willing to pay the $71 a month for the My Blue Silver plan. Okay, when I'm presenting this to this client, I'm going to talk about all the great things that come with this plan. I'm going to say, look, 0 deductible, $1 doctor visits, $10 specialist, $2 generic drugs. This is an amazing plan. However, the one gap in this plan is if you have to go into the emergency room or into the hospital, because on this plan, you're going to have a $125 copay for the emergency room. And if you go into the hospital, you're going to have 25% coinsurance. Now, if it's a $1,000 hospital bill, that's not so bad. It's only $250. But when was the last time you ever heard of a $1,000 hospital bill? I don't know. I never have. They're always $10,000 or $100,000. So that's going to take you immediately to your out-of-pocket maximum of $1,250. And if you're like most of my clients, you don't have $1,250 just lying around in a bank account if something happens. And even worse than that, you don't have the ability to miss work. If you have to go into the hospital for 2 or 3 days, how are you going to pay your bills, right? So what most of my clients do is they also take out a small accident plan that's going to help pay that deductible and that max amount of pocket if they're injured in some sort of accident. So if you got them both, if you got the health insurance with the accident policy, you'd be looking at about $80 a month. Is that going to be in the budget for you? Okay, so when you present it like that, what you've done is you've created a problem. You've said, look, I know you're healthy. I know you don't take any medications. You think you're invincible, but what if something happens? How are you going to handle that? Well, I have a solution for you. If we bundle these together and you're giving him the total package price right then and making him make one buying decision, do you want this package deal? You've got a much higher chance of getting that closed, of getting that sale for both of these products. Okay, now he can always say, no, I can't afford that. And if he says that, fine. You want to be indifferent. It doesn't matter that he says no, because saying no isn't a hang up. He hasn't hung up on. He says, I just can't afford that. That's an objection. So if he says, no, I can't afford that, maybe we go with a different solution. Maybe we just get him the health insurance, or maybe we drop down to the bronze. We say, look, I can get you a bronze plan for $0 a month. And then along with that accident plan, let's look at getting you into a supplemental policy that's going to cover the higher deductible. Now I'll go back. I'll go over the benefits and drawbacks of the bronze plan, and I'll make this guy, let's see, 1988. He's 30 years old, non-smoker. And I'll run the math and I'll say, look, if we do the bronze plan, what you're going to need is you're going to need one of these plan enhancers to help pay for the cost of your coverage. You know, if you need to pay that max amount of pocket, you're going to need something to cover that. So why don't, instead of paying $80 a month for the silver plan, why don't you pay 0 plus 55? That's $55 a month. You'll still get 3 free visits. You'll still get your annual physical covered for free. You'll still have coverage for the urgent care and for generic medications. But if the worst case scenario happens where you get hurt, or you get sick, or you get hospitalized, you're going to have coverage to pay your deductible. You get the best of both worlds. You get a lower premium, which is what you said you wanted, and you still get a qualified plan. You still get great coverage. What's not to like about this? And so by doing this, now you've sold 3 plans. You've sold a bronze plan, the plan enhancer, and the accident fixed benefit. When it comes to getting these guys outside of open enrollment, where they're not choosing to make a plan, to buy a new plan, they've already got a plan. Let's say you're talking to someone who's on the Blue Cross Bronze list, or one of your existing clients, you're calling them back. You already know what the gap in their policy is. You know what their max amount of pocket is. You're calling them up and saying, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I was doing a review of your policy. I looked at your plan, and I know we didn't have a whole lot of time during open enrollment because it was only 45 days. We didn't have a chance to talk about this, but I'm concerned about how you're going to meet your max amount of pocket, how you're going to pay that if something happens to you. And as your agent, I wanted to be proactive and reach out to you and discuss with you a couple options about how we can eliminate that deductible for you in the event that something happens. Now, you know these people, your clients, you know their name, you know their social, you know their annual income, their kids' names. If you're a good agent, you've taken all those sorts of notes. And even if you haven't, you can go back to their eligibility notice and find out what their income is. So by revisiting these clients and offering to fill the gaps in their policy, not only are you going to put more money into your pocket and add commissions to your monthly commission check, but you're also doing the right thing for the client by filling the gaps in their current insurance needs. Okay. Now, let's talk about scenario number 2.
Scott, before we go to scenario number 2, let me just interrupt you for a minute.
Sure.
You know, you said a couple of things on there, and I hope everybody heard you. And I heard it loud and clear, but I get it. And you guys have to understand one thing. He is saying most of my clients. Why is that important? It's important because nobody wants to be the person who is left out in the cold. Well, if everybody else is doing it, I want to do it. All of my clients take this type of protection because they don't want to pay their deductible. They can't afford to lose work. As you're building the value of that, as you're talking about it in a packaged kind of scenario like this and this, bread and butter, peanut butter and jelly, right? As you start going through it, as you're adding the value, you have to make sure that they see it, they grab onto it, and they're not left out in the cold. It's the package. It's, making sure that, you end up in the hospital. You don't have to worry about these out-of-pocket expenses. You don't want to pay them anyway. And again, as he was saying, you're identifying, that you're going to look at the person. Are they a B or a C variant? Really easy for you to tell. That cash is going to be important. accident fixed benefit. You know that if they've got a high deductible, they've got out-of-pocket expenses, and you know that there could be a potential for financial burden. Then you go with the plan enhancers and those types of products. But again, grab onto it once you can identify the gap, and you're going to fill that gap. Then at that point, you're making sure that you're filling it correctly with something that's not going to oversell at the same time. So, but all of my clients have it is huge. It's huge.
Right.
So,
and
thanks, Scott.
No, that's okay. And that segues nicely into the 4 impulse factors. I'll circle back to scenario number 2, but let me take a brief second to talk about the 4 factors of impulse. Number 1 is keeping up with the Joneses. There's only 4 reasons why people buy something on impulse, why they buy it right now. And they don't give you the, hey, email me something about it, or let me talk to my wife, or any other of the common objections you're going to run into. And they make that decision right there on the spot. It's because they have impulse, and you need to build that up with how you're presenting these products. So the 4 factors of impulse are keeping up with the Joneses, indifference, fear of loss, and sense of urgency. Now, keeping up with the Joneses is pretty easy. It says, like I say, it's most of my other clients.
Say that again. Make sure everybody writes that down. Commit that to memory. Impulse buying. Why? And say it again, please.
Okay. The reason you want to build up impulse and you want these people to make impulsive decisions is because you want them to make their decision right now. You want them to buy while their wallet is open, not just the health insurance, but let's do it all. Let's get all the packages, all the deals, every best thing that I can present, because once they close that wallet and they've set their budget, it's going to be a lot harder to get them to open it back up again later. If they say, call me later, call me next week, call me after I've talked to my wife, let me talk to my friend, about this, or, email me something so I can review it. The impulse level, when you revisit them a day, a week, even an hour later, is going to be a lot lower. Okay. So when you're having these conversations with people, you need to build the impulse up. You need to say, look, most of my other clients are doing this. Nobody wants to be the only weirdo in the room who's not getting the accident plan. Nobody wants to be the guy who, hey, he got his health insurance really affordably, but he was so dumb that he didn't get the plan enhancer. Most of my other clients, when they do this, they also do this. You want to pair that together and get them to feel like, hey, I'm part of the cool kids club here. If I get this, I'm going to be like everybody else. Second impulse factor is indifference. Indifference is, I don't really care which of these 2 options that I'm presenting you take. I just want you to take one of them. So going back to scenario number 1, where I'm talking about this guy, I'm talking about his silver plan with the accident policy. But if he doesn't want that, if he rejects that and says, no, that's not what I want, I'm okay with that because I've already got a backup plan. I've got an option B that I'm going to go to, and I'm saying, look, we're moving on. If you don't like that, that's fine. Let's do this instead. And a lot of times you can frame it as a 2-option close. You can say, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, which would you rather have? Would you rather have the high deductible plan that's $55 a month with the supplemental policies, or would you rather have the low deductible plan, it's a little bit more money and only comes with the accident plan, but you get the lower max out of pocket and the better copays? Which would you rather have, option A or option B? And to you, it doesn't matter because you're going to get a sale, you're going to get the close, but you want them to pick one of those 2 options, not secret option C, which is, let me think about it, or email me something, okay? F, fear of loss. Fear of loss is, what am I going to do if, okay? Am I going to miss out? Am I going to miss my opportunity here? If I don't buy this right now, am I going to lose out somewhere down the line? You can do this one really easy. You can say, you can tell the story. You can tell the story of, hey, I got this from my family, and if I hadn't had this, when my kid, busted his arm, I would have had to not only pay for the bill, but I would have had to miss work, and I needed that. You can tell a story. We have a great agent in our office here who was thinking about getting an accident policy, didn't do it. A couple weeks later, fell down a flight of stairs, busted up her leg, couldn't work for months. Okay, not going to name any names, but she's probably on this call. So you need to convey the sense that, yes, you could do it later, but you need to do it now because you never know when an accident is going to happen. If we knew when accidents were going to happen, if we knew when the heart attack was going to happen or the stroke, we'd go to Vegas with our crystal ball and we'd do it. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
I'd have the
And then,
lotto numbers.
lotto numbers, right? Yeah. You can't buy the ticket after the drawing. You have to get it beforehand. So let's do it now, get it knocked out of the way. Sense of urgency is turns a phrase like, this is only going to take a couple minutes. Just give me 5 more minutes. This will be really quick, really quick. I just want to talk to you. When you get them on the phone, you've only got 90 seconds, maybe 3 minutes tops to earn their trust and get them interested in what you're talking about. And if you can convey the sense that, hey, this is only going to take a few minutes, why wait? Let's not put this off. Let's do this now. We only need 5 more minutes. If you can earn 5 minutes of somebody's time, you've earned 5 more minutes. And once you get to 10 minutes, you've earned another 10 minutes. Say, look, we've been on the phone 10 minutes. Let's give me another 10 minutes and we'll be done. And it's probably not going to take 10 minutes, probably going to be 30 minutes, but you convey the sense of urgency that we need to do this now. You got me on the phone. I'm a busy guy. I'm hard to get a hold of. We need to do this now, while you're ready. So try to incorporate those types of phrases and impulse factors into each conversation you have. And you need to have that sense of urgency, because if you have a sense of urgency, that's going to convey over to your clients as well. Okay. So I've talked about that a little bit. Let's talk about scenario number 2. So in scenario number 2, you've got a little bit more money to work with here. Okay. You've got someone who's between 200 and 400% of the federal poverty line. Now, if we have this couple, husband's 30, wife is 26, 2 kids, he's making decent money, they're in good health, what are we looking at for gaps here? We know we want them to be on a qualified plan, most likely, because we got the kids and the wife in the house. You never know what's going to happen. But at $50,000 a year, if you've got your federal poverty chart out, the kids are probably on Medicaid, right? That doesn't mean they don't need additional coverage. It certainly doesn't mean that the husband and wife don't need money, because let's face it, kids are expensive. And if they miss school or get injured, that husband, he's not going to want to be at work. That wife's not going to want to be off gallivanting around. They're going to want to be at the kid's bedside, right? So when we're talking about this to this couple and we run the pricing, and I'll do that for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Let's see, what's my zip code here? 32043 is what I picked. All right. So we got a household of 4. What did I do wrong? Oh, I got a space there. All right. And 50,000, Clay County. We'll add his spouse. She's 26. I know the kids don't need coverage because they're on Medicaid. Doesn't make enough money. So we're looking at the husband and wife, and we go back to these bronze and silver plans again. Okay, we can see that on the silver plans, they're looking at $300 a month minimum for a Blue Select silver plan that's honestly not all that good. If I'm selling to an A variant person, I'm not selling a 1443 plan. Most likely I'm selling a 1464, which is closing in on $400 a month. Okay. Again, this year, I'm probably not going to sell this silver plan to this couple. If they're healthy and they don't have any major medications, I'm going to go back to my trusty bronze plan at $86 a month. And I'm going to do the 2-option close. I'm going to say, let's look at this. Why would I go and pay $400 a month for that silver plan when I can get the bronze plan? I'm going to do a little back of the napkin math here to get this girl's age. She was born in 92, 1992, non-smoker. And let's add the kids in. They got a boy who's 5, so, and they got a little girl who's 3. They just happen to be born on the exact same days. And if he's 5, then he was born in 2013, and she was born in 2015. There we go. All right. So we can still get them coverage with the bronze plan and some accident coverage in case their kids get hurt or they get hurt. And if we get them a plan enhancer, it's $111 a month. So 111 plus the cost of their bronze plan at $86 a month is less than half the cost of a silver plan, right? And along with this, they're going to have enough money from their plan enhancer to cover this entire maximum out of pocket. And the presentation of this is the same. It's, look, you're going to have a lot of great benefits with this plan. You're going to have zero cost for the first 3 doctor visits with low copays after that. But if you have to go into the emergency room, if you have to go to the hospital, it's going to be $6,400 plus co-insurance up to a maximum out of pocket of $6,900. How are you going to come up with that? You're not. So what most of my clients do, what most of my clients find valuable, is to add on a plan enhancer that's going to pay the entire deductible. Now, this particular plan enhancer that I choose is the 7150 benefit. And the reason for that is because if they're injured in an accident, the AxiMed portion of the plan enhancer is going to pay out up to 7150 minus a $250 accident deductible. So 7150 minus 250 is $6,900. That is the exact amount that they need to cover their maximum out of pocket in the event of an accident. And if they get diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, and stroke, or hospitalized for any sort of sickness, they'll get the entire $6,900 and an extra $250 on top of that to buy themselves a couple of get well soon cards. But bottom line with this, not only are they going to have coverage for themselves, but they're also going to have coverage on their kids, right? They're going to have the accident fixed benefit that pays them cash if either one of their 2 dependents gets injured. They're going to have the riders for cancer, heart attack, and stroke, and sickness hospitalization if little Timmy gets walking pneumonia or a serious flu and has to get admitted into the hospital. They're still going to get paid the $7,150. Now, the Medicaid that the kid is on is probably going to pay that hospital bill, and then they, in turn, are going to get $7,000. These people need cash. People in scenario number 1 and scenario number 2, more than anything else, they need cash. How are they going to pay their bills if the worst case scenario happens? So by
Scott,
presenting,
I want to take a pause. I want to interrupt you,
okay.
and I'm good
Sure,
like that. So, somebody made a comment in the questions as I'm going through this. Do you explain the risk of not taking the C plan? So I want to address that because Scott is, of all of our agents, concerned, does a needs assessment, goes through that process with the member, talks about that, as we all should do, right? And if you're in a situation where you've got a customer that's in a C variant plan, before you got to the quote, you already know, what kind of conditions you got. How are you treating your medical? What do you have going on in your life? And that part of it has already been assessed before he's making these selections. So, if you've done your needs assessment properly, it's a normal progression. And I don't want anybody on the call to miss out on that. If you're not doing the needs assessment and you're dropping your pants as soon as you get there and going to the bronze and not talk, well, then you're failing. You're doing a bad job. Scott, he's not going to do that, right? So one thing I want to add to that is once you've done that appropriate assessment and you're picking the right plan and plan design based on the family and their needs, also, you have to remember, this is going to impact your compensation in a great way. So you're going to make way more money. And I know that we're not all driven by commissions, but money helps. I know a lot of us are here just to help people. But just be aware that Scott's not minimizing or not avoiding any type of, needs assessment or making sure that this is the right plan. That's already been done. Right? What do your kids do for work? Do they play sports? Where does everybody go? How's everybody's health? Any major issues? Any minor issues? How do you treat your medical? That's been assessed. And then he's going through this process. I just don't want anybody to miss that. So sorry for the interruption.
That's okay. And ultimately, that's an excellent point because when you're doing the needs analysis, you're identifying these gaps and you're talking to them about the differences here. The whole point of a two-option close and being indifferent as to which one they choose is that you know, as the agent, you have done the best job for them that you can. Okay, you're indifferent to these two options because you know they're both good options for this particular client. You know, if the client had major medical issues and absolutely needed a C variant with a zero deductible and low max out of pocket, of course that's going to be the first thing you suggest. But that doesn't mean you stop suggesting the accident fixed benefit program. You know, it doesn't mean that you go to the bronze as your first go-to just so you can sell additional products. The reason you go to the bronze is, and you have to present it from a standpoint of this is a good solution for you, is because you have done the needs analysis, right? And you realize that this can help save them money and position them better for not only their financial health, but their physical health as well. So once you've done your needs analysis and you've identified that the client is healthy enough for these types of supplemental products, then you can present them. But the point is not to be an order taker. It's not to have people call in and say, hey, I want a health insurance plan and I'm only, I've got a low budget, I don't make much money. Oh, here's your $0 plan. You can't do that. I mean, being an order taker like that, where they call in and you say, oh, here's your silver plan, whether you're doing it with silver, bronze, gold, platinum, or whatever, if you're always just giving them, here's your health insurance plan, and you're not taking the time to do the needs analysis and present supplemental products and other alternatives, then you're not doing your job as a salesperson, okay? The health insurance marketplace navigators do that. Somebody calls in, they say they want health insurance, here's your health insurance. We are a step above that. We are able to say, here's the gaps in the health insurance that you want. Let me help you fill those. Let me help you get a better product, a better service, and have a better customer relationship by presenting alternatives and lower cost solutions and filling in the gaps. That's what you need to do with this. It's not about selling more. I mean, that's part of it, but it's also about doing what's right for the client in keeping within their budget without exposing them to unnecessary financial risk. So that's basically scenario number 2 is, we're talking about you've got some issues here, but they have the choice. Do they want to spend $400 a month and have a silver plan that's pretty good, or do they want to spend $200 a month and have the bronze plan with the supplemental products where they've got the coverage they need if something happens, both on themselves and on the kids? 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with the bronze plan with supplemental products, and everybody's going to be happier. So, scenario number 3. This is the guy who he makes a lot of money. Okay, he's 62. He's looking to retire in a couple of years. He's self-employed. He makes $80,000. He doesn't qualify for a subsidy. Okay, and he might have some health issues. If he's on some medications like levothyroxine sodium, gabapentin, we need to address that in our needs analysis and say, do you think these are going to be ongoing issues? Do you need coverage for pre-existing conditions, or would you be open to looking at an alternative? Okay, let's look at that alternative for a second, because when we run the quote for this guy, if we are your order taker, okay, I'm going to start this over here, and we're going to make this Tampa 33607, and he is single, he's 62, he's male, and he makes $80,000 a year. Assuming he has an SEP of some kind, you're able to get him into a qualified health plan. As soon as you pull up the quotes for this guy for Blue Cross, because that's what we sell around here, the least expensive plan is north of $700 a month. In fact, I would say the least expensive usable plan, the $1449, is north of $800 a month. And depending upon his doctor needs, it could be even worse. If he needs blue options, now we're getting up well over $1,100 a month. Now, he makes decent money, but he's not stupid either. So let's look at the alternative here. if he's in relative good health, 23607, and he's 62, 2018, 62, he's 1956.
And remember, everybody, that's part of the needs assessment. That's part of the process that he's going through. He's healthy. You're verifying that information, and you're giving alternatives to an $1,100 solution, which will be
Right.
a valued solution from a trusted advisor. And that's really what you're building, the trust. This is, you've got time for this kind of stuff outside of open enrollment. So go ahead.
Right, right. So if I'm presenting what I like to call the Obamacare survival kit to this guy, you know, he doesn't want to pay a tax penalty, and starting in 2019, he won't have to. But for 2018, he doesn't want to pay a tax penalty, but maybe it makes a certain amount of sense for him to do that. Because if he went out and got a short-term medical plan with a $5,000 deductible, 100% coverage once the deductible was met, and then he got a $5,000 plan enhancer to eliminate that deductible or terminate that deductible, as Michael Pedregosa likes to say, in the event that something serious happens, along with some accident fixed benefit coverage, his monthly premium is going to be a little less than $420 a month. That's about half what he would pay for a qualified plan. And even when you do the math for him, say, look, worst case scenario at $80,000 a year, your tax penalty is probably going to be around 2.5% of your adjusted gross income. Okay, that's $2,000, which monthly breaks down to about $166 a month. Add that into the cost of the plan that we're proposing here, you're at $585 a month. Still almost $300 cheaper per month than the plan that we might recommend as a qualified plan, right? So if he's a responsible person, he can put that $2,000 away into a savings account. He puts, $166 a month into a savings account to pay the tax man when the tax man cometh, and he can bank the $300 a month that he's saving and say, look, at the end of the year, you're going to have $3,600 extra that you would not have had if you'd gone with a qualified plan. And that goes a long way towards paying deductibles and paying for low-cost medications like levothyroxine sodium and gabapentin, which are not covered on short-term medical. You don't get coverage for pre-existing conditions. You don't get coverage for wellness benefits. You don't get coverage for medications. You're only going to get coverage for sicknesses and injuries that happen from the time the policy starts until the time the policy ends. And you need to explain that to the customer. You explain the risk to him that, look, you may be responsible for a tax penalty at the end of the year. You will not have coverage for pre-existing conditions. You will not have coverage for your routine medications. You're going to have to pay out of pocket for that. And if you get into a situation where you have to go to a specialist that's not a critical illness, it's not a hospitalization, and it's not an accident, like if you get an ear infection, okay, and you need to go to an ear, nose, and throat guy, you're going to have to pay for that because it's subject to your deductible. And you're going to have to explain how the deductible works. And on these short-term medical plans, that deductible resets every 3 months. That's your job to explain all that to the customer. But once you've done that needs analysis, you can save this customer quite a lot of money if that's something that fits his needs. And if it doesn't, remember, indifference. I don't care if you take that. Go get the qualified plan. With that qualified plan, we're looking at $800 a month. We should probably still have a plan enhancer and the accident fixed benefit because you don't want to pay $6,900 if something happens. Let's get you onto that as well. It's going to be more money, but if you feel that that's worth it, then let's spend the money. The point here is to not just take their order for a health insurance plan, but to do what's right for the customer and at the same time sell more products that put more money into your pocket. So those are the three most common scenarios that I run into. Those are the solutions that I most commonly propose. Now, for a 62-year-old, plan enhancer is great, $5,000. It's $287 a month for the short-term medical and $101 for the plan enhancer. I might look at TrioMed instead. TrioMed is going to be a lot less expensive. It doesn't come with the sickness and hospital indemnity, but if he gives me pushback that even $400 is too much, I will swap out the plan enhancer for a TrioMed and bring that down even further to $350. If they give you an objection to price, that's not really a no. It's just a request for more information. Give me a better option. Give me something else. Until they hang up on you, it's not over. So that's what I got.
So Scott, why don't we talk a little bit, and we'll open it up to some questions as I'm looking through it. In the basic preparation, hopefully everybody got it in the beginning of the call. You're addressing it based on the lead. You understand some of the scenarios. What do you do on the nose, right? I don't need it. I don't, I don't want that. Take that away. Why don't we talk a little bit about those rebuttals? And maybe if somebody and everybody on the call wants to add what some of the rebuttals that you just can't get past. You can't do the math for them. See, what I always say, and I'm in the trenches, but I'm not on the phone every single day like you guys, but I'm listening to the calls. I've done this right for forever. At least seems like forever. Not as long as David Silver, but almost forever. So do the math. The math never lies, right? I have always been a big advocate. Those that have seen the videos on my YouTube channel where I go through, objections to the opening of the conversation. And one of the big things they say is you want to pay your deductible, and okay, great, you can pay your deductible. So you're going to pay $6,000, which ends up being, $500 a month. So what would you rather pay? $500 a month or $40 a month with a plan enhancer, or $70 a month. There's no plan enhancer that's $500. So even $100 a month is way better than anything you're going to get in covering a deductible or out-of-pocket expenses. So I always like to go back to the math. Silbert has done a great job. He has his calculator up there. He's doing the math. He's adding it up in front of them. The calculator that he uses just kind of shows it one step at a time. So what are the rebuttals that you guys can't deal with? Because that's what it's all about. I don't want it. I don't need it. Tell us. Let Scott and I talk you guys through how can we overcome those objections. So what do we got? Let's see. We got nothing so far. Jeff is actually saying all of this is a moot point. Should the lead have health issues, then all we can do is inform them for next AEP. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, Jeff. So if someone's got health issues, you're going to go and you're going to create a Medicaid denial, get them enrolled, and then you have this scenario done. So I mean that is just an excuse. I would say that if you are going to work through them, just get them a Medicaid denial and get them enrolled. Easy enough. That's 30 seconds or less. Well, 20 minutes.
If they have medical issues, okay, there are still certain things that they can get, okay, in the form of supplemental coverage. If they have a bronze plan, if they have a silver plan, no matter what their plan is, everyone can benefit from accident fixed benefit coverage, $9.90 a month, right? And if they have other issues, we've got TrioMed guaranteed issue. They can get that. They can get dental. They can get dental indemnity. There's some of these products are guaranteed issue. And even if they don't have an SEP to enroll in a qualified plan, we have guaranteed issue short-term medical products. They are available. They have a $5,000 deductible and a $3,500 deductible.
TrioMed guaranteed issue. TrioMed is there. I mean, we've got that as well. So, don't use the sickness or illness, because you're going to always get them a qualified health plan. They're going to have out-of-pocket expenses. It's a given. So cover those. Let's go through a couple of these questions. So I can't afford it. I don't have money. I've got 3 of those out here. So Scott, I mean, I know what I would say. What would you say? I don't have the money.
Okay. I'm just going to talk about objections just in a broad sense real quick. There's only 3 categories of objections that you're going to run into, okay? Objection category number 1 is, I don't understand the value of the product. I don't see why I need it. I don't want it. Why should I get this product when I can get a competitor's product? They don't see the value in what the product does. Okay. And if that's their objection, it means you haven't explained something about the product successfully and it presented it in a way where it has value. Because if you've done a good job of needs analysis and selecting the products and explaining the benefits of it, which is just information regurgitation from the brochures, basically, they're going to see why what you're suggesting fits what they need and does what they need done. Now, category number 2 is They don't see any value in you. You know, they don't like you. They don't see why they should buy from you versus, you know, somebody else. You know, sometimes you can't get around that, you know, but if you've done a good job with those two things, presenting yourself and building that urgency, that's not going to come up either. So the third category is, I have no money. You know, I just can't afford it. And you can't always fix that, but if you've done a great job explaining the benefits of the product and building value for the product and explaining yourself and why you bring value to the proceedings and why having a relationship with an agent is a value added thing that doesn't cost them any money, and you've connected with them and built some rapport, they're going to find a way to afford it. Okay, you think about all those people who have $600 iPhones, you know, and are still working at McDonald's. You know, they found a way to afford it. You know, they will make that sacrifice. But it does come down to math. You know, if they can't afford it, if they have no money whatsoever, say, look, you are the person who absolutely needs the accident fixed benefit product. I understand the bronze plan for $0 a month is very appealing, but if you need to use that health insurance for something serious, you're going to wish you'd spent $9.90 a month, right? To have that accident coverage and have some cash in your pocket. You can't not afford it. I mean, that's basically my comeback to them is, you know, what did I not explain to you? What is it about this that makes you feel like you don't need it? And have them explain back to you in more detail.
Yeah, ask why. 33 cents a day for the $9 accident plan. I mean, you go to Starbucks once every 2 weeks, you've just paid for this, right? So you're enjoying your cafe latte, caramelluccio, whatever it is. But, you know, here, take some responsibility and, you know, and take care of your family. I mean, you got to remember, you know, in the infamous words of Jeff Schilling, you can't fix stupid, right? So if you are doing the math, and probably one of, you know, in the new Windows, they have the calculator that just actually keeps on going down and tracking it and down and down and down. That calculator helps a lot. You know what I mean? So when you do the regular calculator, and then it keeps on putting all the calculations one after the other, it kind of shows them, and maybe it opens their eyes a little bit. But Charlotte's making a comment that, you know, a guy's got a $7,300 deductible. He says he wants to pay it. Great. So you have $7,300 set aside for something, right? What's it set aside for? Full screen calculator should work on that, Scott, if you wanted to see that one after the other. And then you could see all the calculations over on the side, everybody. So if you got two screens, you show the customer these screens. But, you know, so, I've got the money in my savings account. Great. What's that for? Well, it's, you know, I want to buy a new car. I want to buy new, you know, whatever. I want to take my family on vacation. So why don't you just leave that there and continue to save that money, go on a better vacation rather than wasting it away on an accident that's more than likely going to happen and statistically stating that you're going to have an accident. Long before you have a heart attack, cancer, or stroke, you're going to have a slip and fall. Something else is going to happen. Shaming them into doing it, I agree. I've got a comment in here. I love to shame them into it. Absolutely. I mean, it's part of it. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. You know, that's the person who goes and buys the 8-gallon of mayonnaise at Sam's Club, and it goes bad every single month, right?
And honestly, the thing I like to say more often than not is, look, if you think about this, yes, I understand you have the $7,000. We're talking about less than $150 a month. I would rather pay $1,800 a year than pay $7,000 even one time. I mean, 7,150 divided by 1,800, you're looking at 4 years. I could pay $1,800 a year for 4 years and still come out even, you know, versus having to pay that one lump sum time of, let me pay my $6,900 out of pocket. You know, another way to prevent because you really want to prevent objections from coming up in the first place rather than having to overcome them. But another way to prevent the I can't afford it from coming up in the first place is start high. As Mark likes to say, don't just drop your pants and offer the $0 plan right away. Take the time to show them the cost of the silver plan. Say, look, we can do the silver plan, which would probably be the best thing for you from a, you know, nicest plan coverage, but that's going to be $1,200 a month. You know, Here's option 2, which I think is more affordable for you. What do you think of that? So if you start high, and car dealers do this all the time, you start high and you start taking it down a little bit until you reach their budget. Now suddenly they can afford it. They're like, oh, well, that doesn't sound so bad when I compare it to $1,200 a month. Yeah, I can afford that, you know?
It's the
And
old
that's,
adage of the takeaway. I mean, it's
yeah,
real straightforward. What benefits would you like me to take away? I don't. You've added the value. I love the plan. Well, what benefits do you want me to take away to get this into your? I don't want you to take anything away. You know, somebody's commenting. Well, people telling me, I don't know what I'm buying. Well, if you've got them on a join me, they know exactly what they're buying. You're showing them what they're buying. Failure to get them, and Scott, please, tell me that you agree or disagree, but if you have them on a join me and they're seeing this and showing it, your close ratio is going to increase by 50 points. I mean, when you get them engaged and they're watching it and they're seeing it, it's the natural progression to complete it. If they have a question, you open up the brochure. You're building urgency. You're showing brand recognition here. I mean, these are what separates again, taking the order of wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and let me show you. Here's this, and then it eliminates the show me something, send me the information, call me back later. So I think that if you're not doing that, that's your first hurdle. You're not inviting them, getting them on, on screen to show you. It's going to significantly increase your closing. Absolutely.
yeah, I think if they say something like, hey, can you email me a brochure? My first response to that would be, well, hey, are you near your computer right now? If you are, rather than emailing you a brochure, how about I email you a web link where you can click on it and see my screen? We'll do a web conference. I'll show you everything right in front of you right now, right? Because you don't want them to lose the impulse. If they're willing to see an email, then let me show you the whole thing. I'll be completely transparent with you. I'll put it right on the screen in front of you, and you can ask all the questions you want.
Agreed. I mean, Matt is actually asking a question. Do you ever, and I don't, and it's just like talking, how much time we spend talking about Blue 365 and the extra benefits. How do you feel, Scott, about the additional, the discount cards, the extra care cards? Is it ever something you bring up? I mean, what is
No,
your opinion?
no, I don't bring it up. I don't talk about the telemedicine. I don't talk about the
Well, the
accidental.
telemedicine is the only one I like. That's the only one I would disagree, right? So
Yeah.
I
Well,
think it dilutes it, right? You start talking about magazine subscriptions and all the other crap that comes with it. I mean, it's nice.
yeah.
They're nice features, but the telemedicine, I think, is something that, and if you're not doing it, Scott, I think that's probably
Well,
a good idea.
maybe, but the
People
the
like
thing
it.
for me is I want to solve the problem that I've created. The problem that I've created is this max out of pocket. How are you going to solve for that? Here's the solution. I
So
try to keep it simple.
Oh, but here's, and I'm out, want to make sure that everybody on the call understands, and it's a good dialogue. So you've solved the problem by lowering the premium, adding the additional benefits, but you gave me 3 free doctor visits. What happens if I got to go the fourth time? Well, what happens if I'm not so sick that I don't want to go to the doctor? Well, now you can introduce, oh, by the way, this particular policy also has telemedicine built into it. It's going to save you time. Time is money. So additionally, I've just saved you even more money. So, we used to do a lot of that with when we did VBA. There was really 3 pieces to that puzzle on the VBA accident puzzle plan. And, if you guys are talking about this product, the telemedicine is the one. I wouldn't call that the fluff, but the other stuff that they've got in there is a lot of fluff, and it may not add a lot of value. Telemedicine is absolutely wave of things that are going on. You're really seeing that change a lot with the technology and the health. Now they're doing, like FaceTime with your doctor, which is pretty cool, so they can diagnose issues and go from there. Irene's making a comment. She says, I find it amusing that when these customers, I'm talking to them, they won't buy a $9 a month product, but they're buying cigarettes and liquor and other things. So yeah, I mean, reallocation of funds, that is always laughable. As Scott said earlier, I've got a set of, $10,000 wheels on my car, but I don't want to spend 33 cents a day for an accident plan. And it's, again, building the urgency and values. So.
And telling the story helps a lot too, especially with the accident fixed benefit plan. That's my favorite one to tell the story about because it's the only one that actually pays for itself. You can buy a $9.90 accident plan and get more benefits out of it than you pay into it. All of the other products that we sell, the plan enhancers and the, the trio meds and all that sort of stuff, they basically just break even off of what you're going to, off of what you spend. You're never going to make any money. Whereas with the accident fixed benefit product, you can actually put cash into these low income clients' pockets and say, look, I had this accident happen to me. I'm keeping up with the Joneses. All my other clients, they want this because I tell this story of when my kid got hurt and we went to the urgent care and we spent our $50 copay and then we got a check for $350. We made $300 for that kid getting injured. Now, obviously, you don't want to push your kid down the stairs or something like that just to make an extra $300, but whatever it takes to get through the next month, but it's $9.90 a month. It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if not having it is a bigger risk, and then like you said, I think probably one of the best things is it's probably the only insurance that you're ever going to have in your life, and I hope that you're ever going to have that's going to make money, that you could actually make money on it.
If you're the type of person that can fall upstairs and that can choke on air, you need this product.
Yeah, choke on air. That's funny. Jeff, the US Able is the same. Somebody's making a comment. Jeff is US Able was the only plan that paid for itself. The $9.99 AxiMed plan will pay for itself. Same basic premise. Same cash benefits paid to the member directly. So, based on the codes. So, you got an x-ray, X, you're hospitalized, X, very simple. So if you believed in that US Able product, they didn't issue enough products. I mean, the problem was the issue rate and, the options that you had with US Able. Still there, still great, but Scott knows US Able hands down better than anybody else. Nice trip to Canada for that. But
it was great.
Here we are. Here we're different product set because you needed options. You don't have to worry about, what they do for work. You've got 24-hour coverage, those types of issues that are solved here.
And the major selling point for the US Able, honestly, was the $75 wellness benefit. Okay. But if you're getting $75 a year, again, $6.25 a month, it was $18.04 for that product. For a single person, it's $11.79. So this product is less expensive per month. It doesn't have the restrictions on where you work. It doesn't have the restrictions on how you can take payment, where US Able, you could only basically pay with a bank account, and it bills immediately. The money comes out right then. Whereas with US Able, it didn't bill until the 4th day after the effective date. So the 4th of the month after the effective date. So you had a lot of issues there with US Able that you don't have with National General. And it's still a great product for your client.
Yeah, I agree completely. Absolutely. So we're wrapping up now. We are at 4:16. I want to just open up any other questions that we might be able to address on this call. A couple of people are saying, can we walk through a complete call scenario? We don't have time for that today. We'll do this again if we found it to be valuable and we're getting something out of it. And quite frankly, if we see some increased sales, otherwise forget about it. Any other questions? Irene is making a really good comment while we roll down to this last 60 seconds or so. Being excited about the product, being passionate about it, that's going to be probably your biggest. Attitude is everything, right? If you're a negative Nancy and you sound like you got marbles in your mouth when you're making a phone call, just forget it. You might as well just hang the phone up and not make any phone calls. If you are, all downtrodden about it, it's not going to happen. You've got to be passionate, excited, and positive. Otherwise, you're terrible. But do I have any other questions? Sandy's just making another comment. I have one of these. I've used it. Scott has got great, stories, which he's not going to tell the stories of the Christmas tree or the pool cleaning that we all know and love, but maybe come up with some new ones next year. But got your stories. The stories are really important, and I have it. I've used it. Buy one for yourself. I mean, this is, you should absolutely have an accident plan. Those agents that are on the call, I'm seeing if Keith's on the call today. He's, we've used it. Keith can tell you all about it. Talk to Keith. You know, I can clearly say I did not have an accident plan when Luca hurt himself. Now I have one. So, you know, you've got to believe in the products. Let's see. I would tell them a story of my client wouldn't buy and then they fell off a ladder. Fantastic. I actually have a client that had one for like 3 years, terminated it, and then like the next month fell off a horse. So, I mean, they happen. These accidents happen. All right. Any other questions, comments? Scott, great job. I want to thank you for taking your time out of the day today to work with everybody. I've got a little bit of a throbbing headache right now, but that's just, you know, that's me. Need a little aspirin. Maybe I'll call my telephone medicine number, and that'll be great. But Scott, thank you. Everybody is typing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully you guys saw value on this, and it will be up on the YouTube channel shortly. Have a great day. Oh, you got aspirin. Fantastic for my throbbing headache. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.